But we have Crystal and Diamond here. They rock. Awesome, bet you never heard that one before. Let's talk a little bit about who uses the HeartFit Clinic and what the clinic is all about. So who are your main clients here? Crystal?
HeartFit is a cardiac rehab maintenance and prevention program. So we see people who have heart disease or who have risk of development of heart disease. Right. So they might have risk factors like diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, and so on.
Okay, so would you say the majority of your patients have already been through some sort of event?
Not necessarily, no. We see about 50-50 split of those who've had a heart problem already or those who are at risk of the development of some sort of heart problem.
Okay, we've been talking about some statistics, and Diamond, tell me a little bit. It might surprise you that there are some people of the population who are at risk of heart disease, and that can be surprising. So who may be surprised that they could be at risk?
I think heart disease is the #1 cause of death of men and women in Canada, and it's the #1 preventable disease as well. So every 7 minutes someone dies of a heart attack or stroke, so there's some alarming statistics that happen with heart disease.
Right, that women are involved in that group as well. Let's talk a little bit about what I'll be going through today. So we have a couple of tests that are set up, and what's the first test involved?
We're going to do a coronary risk assessment, and that involves taking a little bit of blood, just a tiny bit of blood, and a blood pressure assessment, cholesterol assessment, and so forth. And we're going to do a fitness assessment. We'll assess your fitness level, which should be pretty good after your January marathon.
Yeah, hopefully.
And
haven't really been running too much since then, but go on.
And we're going to look at the age of your arteries through an ultrasound of the carotid artery in your neck.
Okay, and all of these things will go towards determining my risk factor for cardiovascular disease?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, terrific. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. We're live on location this morning at the HeartFit Clinic in Eau Claire Market, brand new clinic down here, specializing in cardiovascular health and disease prevention. So I'm going through the ropes here. I've had a test on the treadmill, and now Leanne is doing another test. What am I having done here, Leanne? I'm trying to see your face and not turn my head at the same time.
This is called the Carotid Intermediate Thickness Test, and what we're doing is measuring the thickness of the walls of your carotid arteries.
Okay.
And from that way we can predict a cardiovascular age of your arteries. So hopefully that the age of your arteries correlates to your chronological age. If your arteries are 60 and you're only a 50-year-old, we might have to look at doing some lifestyle modifications.
Okay, so let's have a look at the arteries here. I'm going to turn my head, and maybe you can take us through the pictures here that we'll see on screen.
Okay, so this is Jill's carotid artery here, looking down the artery, and as I turn my probe sideways, we can see a longitudinal view, and this right there is the wall thickness. So we're going to measure here, and I do it 12 different images, and then I take the images over and measure them on my software, and we get an age of your arteries.
Would you say those are some good-looking arteries?
I'd say they're awesome-looking arteries, yeah.
Yes, pass the test. Now, what would an unhealthy artery look like?
Well, it's hard from here to tell exactly whether this is too thick or not, because it's the software that I'm using afterwards to measure the thickness.
Okay.
This is nice and smooth. The black area is the blood flowing through. If you were had a disease process, had cardiovascular disease, we might see a plaque in here, and then we'd have to let the doctor know that we saw some plaques in your arteries.
Okay, so in my case, we would possibly be talking about preventative measures.
Yes.
And you get those plaques in here. Do you see quite places where you might think that it's too far gone? Does that happen at all?
Oh, no, it's never too far gone. You can always improve your lifestyle, modify things that are at risk, and make improvements.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the data that we collected on the treadmill, and how does that inform what you would be measuring in here as well?
The data that's collected on the treadmill and this data, we're putting it all together to make a 14-page report for our clients to tell them all the risk factors. So as I go through the report with the clients that highlights the things that we need to look out for, if their blood pressure's high, if their C-IMT is showing some thickness, then we know we have to look after those particular things, or if you're overweight or if your fitness level is low, then those are the particular areas that we need to work on with our clients. So,
cool. Identifying all the risk factors. Leanne is going to plug in the data, and we'll find out the age of my arteries still ahead, guys. Good things take time.
Jason Portanoy just emailed in and said, those are some fine arteries Jill has, just so you know.
appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. We're live on location at the Heart Fit Clinic in Eau Claire Market, brand new clinic down here. And before the break, we were taking Rob, the cameraman's blood pressure. Such a stressful job here. Amanda, how did the numbers come in?
Pretty good. They were about 128 over 84, so he's doing pretty well.
It's almost perfect, isn't it?
It is.
Ah, see, not that
Nice
stressful,
job.
right? Very well done. And we also have some results here to share, and we have Diamond and Crystal who have been poring over the data that we've been accumulating all morning long here. So I was on the treadmill, I got my arteries measured, and let's go through the results here. Diamond?
So with the carotid IMT, we're measuring the thickness of the carotid intima media wall. And so when we look at the carotid artery, as Leanne showed you, it bifurcates or it splits off or forks in the road. And we come up with two different measurements. We come up with what's called a mean IMT score, which is the average thickness, and that's only 1 centimeter long. I'm zooming in on this quite a bit here. So
That's good, right?
yeah, that's, well, 1 centimeter of length is what we regularly measure.
Oh.
Now the thickness, and you can
That's
see
standard.
the diameter of the artery is less than 1 centimeter.
Okay.
So we're actually comparing your artery to in millimeters, and it's actually point something of a millimeter, and I'll go over that in a second. We come up with two scores. We come up with a mean IMT score, so it's the average thickness inside
Yeah.
that 1 centimeter, and we come up with the maximum IMT score, the thickest 1 millimeter portion inside that 1 centimeter. And so when we look at your results, we come up with two different numbers. The mean IMT is 0.47 millimeters,
Okay.
and your maximum is 0.586 millimeters. Now that doesn't mean too much to you, so what the software does is it calculates a vascular age as to how old your arteries are.
Okay.
So here's the drum roll.
Aha, drum roll, please.
0.47 millimeters is equivalent to an age of 33.8.
Which is older than my age. What does this mean?
Actually, no problems at all with that. And we also have with your maximum IMT score, which is 32 years old. So it actually puts you within your range. And what we're looking for is where do you fall in the at the risk. So you can either be doing well, which is a good thing. You could be borderline, or you could be at risk. Those are the three options. And in your case, you do fall as doing well.
Doing well. Yes! And Crystal, of course, if you are at risk, we'll create programs for you down here at the HeartFit Clinic. We're out of time, unfortunately. We could talk about this all day long. But